the mass amount of people that are using AI for their copy right now, it's like there's so much of the languaging is sounding and looking, everything is starting to look and sound, it's becoming homogenized, right? So really having, especially if you're in the woo space, you've got to have your authentic voice. You've got to really be speaking to the heart and soul of who your prospects are and your ideal clients. If you're at all diluted, like be prepared for diluted results. Let's say your lead magnet leads are costing you $5 to acquire. Your offer on that OTO page, on that one-time offer page or your thank you page, you offer a mini course that's a direct deep dive, or not a deep dive, but just an overview of whatever the heck the lead magnet was. And then you offer that for a low ticket cost. So let's say $27.
I see it all the time, brand new coaches, and they're just working on a low ticket. Because what they see, apparently they haven't opted into too many funnels, but they see a lot of funnels starting with a low ticket, and they think that's going to make them money. And I'm like, no. If you're good, like really good, it can be self-liquidating and not cost you anything. There are plenty of people, very, very, very good marketers out there who are spending hundreds of dollars to get one $47 purchase. The only way they can do that is because they have a nice upsell, a big back end that's actually generating the revenue, and they're just trying to get buyer leads into their ecosystem. If you want to build a legitimate, profitable online business without shiny objects, without the hypey gimmicks, and without the stress and overwhelm, if you want to make more money without having to be present online all day, every day, pumping out content that nobody sees and hustling DMs to generate leads and sales, then this is the place for you. Welcome to the Digital Trailblazer Podcast, your online business university, where you'll learn how ordinary people start from ground zero with no influence, no email list or audience to sell to, and no business or marketing experience, and go from working 9-to-5 jobs to building successful 6- and 7-figure online businesses and all the steps in between. Learn the strategies that worked and what didn't. Learn the mistakes that they made and how to avoid them, and then learn their plans for scaling their businesses and taking things to the next level. All so that you can build your business faster and easier and make more money without sacrificing the things that are important to you in your life. I'm your host, Leah Ray Getz, and with me is my husband, Todd. Now, let's get to it with today's guest. Welcome, Digital Trailblazers. Today we have with us Brook Bishop. Brook, go ahead and introduce yourself to our audience.
Yeah, my name, Brook Bishop. So I'm one of the co-founders with Empire Partners. And so I've spent the last nearly 25 years in the space of coaching and consulting, personal development. So worked with the biggest names in the game, from Tony Robbins to Brian Buffini to John Assaraf to clients on demand. Yeah, tons of people in the space.
That's awesome. So what are you doing today?
So today, Empire Partners, we help coaches, consultants, experts scale and grow their business. So whether that's in the realm of marketing, fulfillment, sales, you name it.
That's awesome. So yeah, right in our sphere, right with us and what we do. So how did you make the pivot from the coaching into this side of things with the marketing and the business side?
Yeah, so with Tony, I was actually an exec with Tony for about 15 years. And within that, I oversaw multiple departments and divisions within his organization. So I was responsible for marketing his flagship events and his higher ticket events. I was also responsible for his business coaching and some of his product lines and his super high ticket stuff and his platinum partnership. So I was literally responsible for marketing, sales, accounting, legal, fulfillment, deliverables, tech, everything under those umbrellas.
So how did you decide to make the shift into launching this business then?
Yeah, so moving away from there. So when COVID popped, and looking at the writing on the wall, I'm going, okay, so this is a 9-figure company that's rooted in live events. And I was looking at it and going, okay, Tony's age, my age, do I really want to stick around for 3 to 5 years and rebuild that organization? Or was it the right time to jump and take what I had learned and crafted with him on the road? And that was really when I made the decision to pivot.
So what have you built this into then?
Yeah, so in terms of on our side, so we've done a number of different pieces. So it was interesting because I had the picture of what I wanted to create when I left, and very quickly I'm like, okay, I need to be very flexible based on what our clients are needing. And that first year was really a whatever you need, we'll create, which danger.
Yep.
There's a lot of good pieces that came from it, but it's also dangerous in the sense of just bloated out our service offerings and we went wide instead of going deep with our content and with our services. So yeah, so now at present moment, our main focal point is we have 2 different masterminds. We have events that support that. And then on the other side of that is we actually have our sales training and our partnerships. So we'll actually partner in with people and take over their marketing and sales and their pieces. So.
Okay, so agency and trading and my mastermind.
And it's not the traditional agency dynamics. Like we actually partner in, so we'll actually take a fractional position in people's companies and help them and take over all those pieces, so they don't have to touch any of it anymore.
Okay, very cool. That's awesome. So I'm curious, what do you find that's working really well today?
So in which aspect? In the world of marketing side, in the world of sales? And
right. Well, let's start with marketing, and then maybe if we have some time, we'll go into the sales side.
Yeah, on the marketing front, one of the strategies, I'm sure we've had a lot of people lately complaining about the world of paid advertising getting more costly.
Yep.
Targeting is getting a little bit trickier, and obviously people are having to get way more deliberate and more dialed in with their messaging. But one of the strategies we're seeing right now that's working really, really well is self-liquidating offers. So SLO for anyone who's in the marketing space. But yeah, we're having really good luck with that. And then there's some nuance that we've woven in that we're seeing that's really making a big difference.
Well, I'm really curious on this because that's not a space that we've mastered and we've really driven a lot with. It's something that we're toying with and playing with and testing. And so I'd love to hear from you. What are you seeing with what's working with self-liquidating? Like what kind of price points, like what type of offers?
So the overarching concept, if somebody's listening to this and they're like, what the heck? Self-liquidating offers. Sounds very interesting. I have no idea what the hell it is. So think this way. So you run your paid ads to a lead magnet that's free. So let's say a toolkit or a PDF, ebook, something of that nature. When they hit your reg page, once they put in their information, there's two really important pieces. Once they submit their information, the first is you want their access to whatever that lead magnet is to be in your personal community. So most people, when they're doing lead magnets, they'll send an email to the person in terms of like with their PDF or whatever it might be.
Right.
So little nuance there is instead of sending them an email with the PDF, you send them an email with login credentials to join your community where they can access.
Okay. So like your membership site, essentially.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay.
But a freebie part of the membership site because you don't want to.
Yeah. Right. Not with paid courses in it. Right. Okay.
Correct. So that's the first little nuance. The second piece of that is when they hit your thank you page, it's an one-time offer page. So an OTO.
Okay.
So the thought process here, so that to do the math, if let's say your lead magnet leads are costing you $5 to acquire. Okay, so you're spending $5 to get somebody to bite on the lead magnet. Your offer on that OTO page, on that one-time offer page or your thank you page, if you're running, let's say if you've got $5 to get the person on the ad side, you offer a mini course that's a direct deep dive, or not a deep dive, but just an overview of whatever the heck the lead magnet was. Okay, so let's say, just make simple terms here. Let's say your lead magnet is a free recipe on how to make, chocolate chip cookies. That one-time offer is a mini course on how to make chocolate chip cookies, and it goes into more detail of whatever the lead magnet was.
Okay.
And then you offer that for a low ticket cost. So let's say $27.
Okay. Have you split tested different pricing on this, like 7, 27, 47?
We have. So we've gone with some higher price points. Obviously, just it really depends on your offer and depends on your marketplace. It really depends on what the problem and the solution base is. So example, in business-based offers or like B2B offer, you can definitely push the envelope on increasing that price because hopefully the solution has a way bigger ROI.
Gotcha. Okay.
In more woo space offerings, it can be a little bit all over the map, right? So it just really depends on the niche. So for us, what we've really been calculating it on is our conversion of what percentage is biting on the one-time offer, and then our cost to acquire that lead magnet lead. So for us, as long as we're running 1 out of 6 that are biting on that thank you page or the one-time offer, we're running a net zero cost.
Gotcha. I love that, because ad spend, as someone who runs a sales team who can, we've driven lots and lots of money in traffic. There's always, if you don't have a self-liquidating offer, there is an immense pressure if you're driving traffic, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Which is challenging. So when it comes to the lead magnet, are you seeing like PDFs, like ebooks, like mini courses, like
the lead magnet could be any number of things. I wouldn't do a mini course just because if your one-time offer is going to be the mini course, it might make it a little confusing. For us, we're big fans of toolkits. Give away a recipe or a step-by-step of whatever your problem solution matrix might be.
Okay.
And that's a great way also to highlight your philosophy or your model, like the tangible thing you can put in the wheelbarrow and walk out the door with. And then the mini course or the one-time offer would just be a slightly deeper dive into whatever the front end piece is.
Okay. And then do you do downsell, upsells, that kind of stuff on the back end?
Yes. So on the back end, so the cool part is 100% of the people are now in your community. So we have a strategy for that. So the first part of that is we have our appointment setting team or our concierges. Anytime somebody bites on the lead magnet and they join the community, they're going to reach out. They're going to make sure they know where to go to get access to it, and they're going to open up conversation and work to book an appointment. So that's one piece. The second part, obviously, everyone's now in your email as well for nurture, right? And then the other secondary piece of that is once a month, and this is just kind of our cadence of it, but once a month we'll run just a live training, usually around the same subject matter of whatever they were already raising their hand showing interest in.
Right.
And from there, we can either go direct to sell or we can book through a calendar.
Okay. And that's for your higher ticket backend.
Correct. Yep.
Okay. So after the OTO though, is there something like, what kind of offers are you putting directly after that?
Yeah. Right after the OTO, we're actually not doing a direct offer right behind the OTO. It's more of we're getting them into the community so that we can then nurture and have more of a custom experience of what their problem solutions might be.
It sounds like parts of this to me, you're using it as a membership site. Parts of this, you're using this as like a Facebook group. But so it sounds like you're using a platform that has the discussion type features for the membership site. And this is sort of replacing people's free Facebook group, putting them in their membership site instead, correct?
Yeah, and you could do a Facebook group. We've steered away from it just because the algorithm's just been massively throttling most people's exposure on the groups. And for us, we've actually built our world out in Mighty Networks.
Okay.
And so part of the reason we did that is because of the dynamics of it being app driven. So push notifications and just the updates, we just have a way more open and response rate and engagement just being in our own ecosystem.
Okay. So I'm curious then, because I know for us, if we are driving traffic in paid or organic, and on somewhere in the thank you page, you're gonna be invited to our community, which is our free Facebook group. And we have, at least 50% of people who generate a lead are also joining the group. I know we've also done lead magnet stuff that gives them logins. And I suspect that a vast majority of those people never actually log in to the community, to the membership site to access it. So
we have about 70% that do. So about 70% will log in for the lead magnet itself. Now, simultaneously, so our concierge team, if they see that there's a 30-minute gap of when the lead magnet hits our ecosystem and they haven't yet logged in, they'll send them a text message or they'll send them an email, and they'll start to prompt that to, again, both get them into our world, but also to open up the dialogue so we can book meetings out of it.
Gotcha. Okay. So they're following it to make sure they get in.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. That makes sense. That I can swallow that one then, because I'm like, okay.
If you leave it totally passive, yeah. I mean, just like it's almost the same percentages of people who will read the book, and yeah.
Right. Yeah. No, completely. Okay. So when we're talking numbers, like how much have you been able to scale this to ad spend wise and keep it self-liquidating?
So it depends on the niche. So for us, we max right now, we're running about 150 a day, and we're still finding that we're hitting our thresholds where we're not going overboard. And so for somebody listening to this as well, so just I want full transparency. We're not looking at the offering or this model as a revenue generator, right? So this is purely for generating new leads, building the database, building the community, bringing people in.
I think that is something that like is a stop. Everyone pay attention here real quick because we didn't clarify that. Like, because I see it all the time, brand new coaches, and they're just working on a low ticket. Because what they see, apparently they haven't opted into too many funnels, but they see a lot of funnels starting with a low ticket, and they think that's going to make them money. And I'm like, no, 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 no. If you're good, like really good, it can be self-liquidating and not cost you anything. There are plenty of people, very, very, very good marketers out there who are spending hundreds of dollars to get one $47 purchase. The only way they can do that is because they have a nice upsell, a big back end that's actually generating the revenue, and they're just trying to get buyer leads into their ecosystem.
Correct. Yeah. And part of this too, I mean, again, because we do run a higher spend for a traditional add to a webinar to the calendar model. But we are also seeing that approach right now has become much more costly. So the margins starting to get a little bit funky on that side. So that's why we really looked at the SLO as an option or an opportunity to go, okay, if we've got one that's more of a transactional, like let's get them on the calendar quick and give them a high ticket offer, we've really found success with, okay, let's go perhaps with a lower ticket that just covers our costs on the spend. Let's see how far we can push it and keep nurturing and building and growing it that way.
Yeah. So I'm curious on your nurture process on the back end then. So once you've got this lead that is paid for essentially, how are you nurturing them sufficiently and moving them along into your process?
Great question. So a few different ways. So we have an email nurture. So everybody gets put into like the first 3 weeks. It's specific messaging based on whatever they raise their hand for. And there's a specific cadence that we run against that. And then they go into our general pop email campaigns, just depending on wherever they come in at. So that's one thread. The other thread is the concierge. They have about a 5 touch point approach in terms of outreach to engage them and get them to play. And then the other part is those monthly trainings as well as in the community. So opening up discussions and just, cultivating it from within the membership portal side.
Gotcha. So sort of using monthly sales webinars to kind of scoop up people who've, now they're officially warmed up.
Yeah. So value adds sales webinars that are live. And so that way there's a Q&A. And so there's now the other part of it too is in the course of them coming into the email world, so there's another layer to this, we'll extend different lead magnets to see if we get a spike in engagement to our email lists. So if we start to see, hey, this one got, let's say we had a 40% open rate and we had, a decent percentage clip of people that wanted that next lead magnet, we'll usually use that as our cue for what content we want to hit that month for that month.
Good. I like that. That's a gold nugget, ladies and gentlemen, to write down, is to test what your audience is wanting, what they're actually reacting to, not just what they say they want, but what are they taking action on when they see that type of copy, that type of training offer, that sort of thing.
Yep. Yeah. And so when people tell you what they want, give it to them. And if they're responsive to the languaging that you're using, use the same language. That's the other big mistake I see a lot of people will make is they'll change up all of their languaging thinking that it fits their needs of how they're trying to convey it versus what everybody already responded to and what they said they wanted.
Yeah. And language is so important in your marketing. It's not how you speak or how you think of things. It's how your target audience is thinking and speaking of things. You have to get into their language in order for them to really resonate and want to move things forward. Now, for folks who are trying to set up a self-liquidating offer, okay, they want their ad spend paid for essentially, right? They want to not have to deal with that extra cost. What kind of metrics should they be looking for as they're getting started? How to test that process? How to really flesh that out to get it where you need it to be?
Yeah, so few pieces. One, just know there's going to be a little bit of a learning phase out of the gates. But in terms of just some of the metrics to know, like, okay, is this good or bad? If you're getting leads coming through on the lead magnet side for, let's say, below $7 or $8 per acquisition, if you're getting like $4 to $5, you're humming. If you're below, I'd say $7, you're in a good space. So you want to calculate that to then figure out, okay, great. My one-time offer, where should I price that at start a little bit higher. And I'd say it's easier to work down versus trying to work back up. Start a little bit higher so you can see if people are willing to bite and figure out what those metrics are. 1 out of X, right? So you can figure out where you're covering your costs on that. But yeah, as you scale it, just continue growing maybe 10 to 20%. If you're covering the bases, grow 10 to 20% on your ad spend each day and figure out where that threshold is where you're break even.
Gotcha. So do you have a specific recommendation on where people start their ad spend at?
If you're going high ticket ad to webinar to funnel, you're going to have to probably be starting at about $150 to $200 a day.
Yep.
If you're doing something on a lead magnet side, honestly, you can start a heck of a lot lower because you don't have nearly as much. So you can start and test it and figure out, actually on the split test side, I'll touch on that in a second. You can start out at like 20 to 30 bucks a day. Now, what I will also say that's really creative way to do this, if you have multiple lead magnets and you want to figure out which one's going to work best, I would run a split test for for the first week to 2 weeks, just to figure out, okay, what is my audience more engaged with? And then, start to migrate your spend to the winner.
Okay. Interesting. Do you do any retargeting ads or anything else on top of that?
We do. That'll go way above my pay grade in terms of just the specifics and the nuance of it. But yeah, no, we definitely do a lot of retargeting just because the costs, it just gets way lower. There's actually a tool that we were using at one point, fascinating tool. Let's see if I can remember the name of what it was. But basically what it does, it will take Facebook groups and it'll create not a lookalike audience. It can extract the actual members. So if let's say Tony Robbins is your target client, you go, oh, cool. Does he have any Facebook groups? Heck yeah, he's got a ton of them. So the software can pull those people out and actually create an audience. So your ads get put directly in front of them versus, so it's not putting it in front of them in their group. It's actually putting it in their feed.
Yeah. No, I actually saw a demo of a new software that does that. I was at a mastermind of some amazing marketers over this week, and someone demoed a little bit of that for me, asked me to be an affiliate for it. I'm super excited because you can go on, it was groups, but even think about buyer groups, right? If you want buyer leads, if you're in a group that's a buyer lead and fits your target audience, like that is a gold mine. Going onto people's pages and different places where people are and being able to pull that and, do lookalike audiences, do all that kind of stuff with your ads from there is just like, that's like the geek out stuff. That's awesome.
It is. And especially with between iOS's new rules and how that's now tweaking the targeting. And then you look at Facebook stuff and everything they have with tweaking the targeting. Yeah, if you can isolate, like, and it's also your competitors too. So you can frame your messaging really creatively as well, knowing where their gaps might be or where they've dropped the ball without, tarnishing their name, but you can speak to where, their pain points are. So it's definitely a very cool approach.
Yeah. So audience, stay tuned. I'll have some affiliate email that will come out soon with some really cool software. Awesome. So, okay. So your OTO, as someone who is not the person that runs ads, disclaimer right off the bat for our audience, it's like, she doesn't know what she's talking about. I don't. I know the generics and Todd knows the specifics. Are there specific metrics that you think are like the top ones that you should be analyzing as you're increasing your ad spend, or as you're saying, hey, this initially looks good, but we got to run some more data, get some more data to see that this one's going to play?
These are just our rules. I don't know if I'm sure there's probably some like general, like if you're hitting these numbers, this is like the gospel. I don't know what that is either. So I have a Todd in my world, but his name's not Todd. But in our world, we look to, if we're hedging around 80%, so if we're bringing in, so it doesn't have to be 100% marketing recovery, but if we're getting in that 80% recovery, that's what we're hedging against to basically gauge towards. Now on the other side, our goal is to also get 80% into the community. Our goal, we apparently like 80%. Our goal is to get an 80% response when we direct message them within. And from those, our goal is to get actually about 30% of them booked. That's where we're aiming to get to. So
that's awesome. So to what level you're comfortable, brag on yourself for a minute. Like, what have you been able to do with this kind of strategy?
So yeah, we're running at about 150 a day. We're getting, I want to say about 20 to 30 leads a day that are coming through. And then those numbers obviously roll in. Right now we're optimizing because our team was rather small, and because the lead volume's now starting to crank up. We're actually right in the middle of scaling our sales team. So we're in that fun flux zone. We're like, hey, we're handing everything off now, which is fun. But yeah, in terms of revenue, we run just in terms of the metrics at a 30% book rate. We'll have around a 75% show rate of the shows that we get. We're offering to about around 70 to 80%, depending on the month.
Mm-hmm.
And then our conversion rate off of offers is somewhere in the 30 to 35% rate.
Okay, that's awesome. So are you, the bookings are coming from all of those different nurture processes, correct? You're not doing any sort of front end book a call funnel on top of that?
Not directly within this, just because there's not like a direct book, not on this specific channel. We have other channels that are directly to book. But this one specifically is a nurture approach as I say that, the email nurture is in there, but I haven't broken it out, and I wouldn't know the metrics off of this channel, how many from email book. But yeah, they do get put in that general pop.
Okay, gotcha. So plenty of nurturing. It's not, and that's what I've seen, and even talking with, I just spent the last 4 days with fellow 7 and 8 figure earners in the info product space, and direct to VSL situation is, especially with not paid ad or not buyer leads and everything else, like it's getting harder and harder to play in that space. Like, show rates are plummeting, bad things. It's just very difficult. So I think nurture is key. Also being able to get your ad spend paid for with your, OTO, being able to work with buyer leads, which is beautiful and a higher quality. I think all of those things really allow for this to overcome some of the challenges that are happening in the ecosystem at the moment to really get still phenomenal results.
Yeah, no, we're seeing the same thing, by the way, too. With the VSLs are definitely they're having a tough go right now. It's interesting though too. We're seeing people who are moving back into more of a longer form webinar that are starting to get some clips. And again, and the B2B side, way more. I would say it's way more effective at the moment. Whereas if you're in more of a I don't want to call it B2C, but in the coaching space, right? So we have a lot of offers that might be more, we call it woo, right? So more of the spiritual offers or
soft stuff. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The softer offers are having a tough time right now in both the webinar and the VSL space.
That's a super nurture, like in like life coaching, woo stuff. And we don't work in the woo space, but we know a lot of woo people, but we work with a lot of life coaches and that's high touch, like really need to nurture people to get them over the finish line, because it's such an intimate relationship that you're going to have with those people. A webinar is not going to cut that. Like that's not sufficient.
To that end too, and this is across the board, the mass amount of people that are using AI for their copy right now, it's like there's so much of the languaging is sounding and looking, everything is starting to look and sound, it's becoming homogenized, right? So really having, especially if you're in the woo space, you've got to have your authentic voice. You've got to really be speaking to the heart and soul of who your prospects are and your ideal clients. If you're at all diluted, like be prepared for diluted results, because it's.
And I think that's a trap that a lot of people are falling into or may fall into soon is the AI like whirlpool. Like AI is powerful. It is amazing. I will have a guest on soon on the podcast who is an AI expert, but you can't turn everything over to AI and like disappear from your business. Like people seek personal connection. They need, like, you have different life experiences than other people. You've got a different way that you speak and how your personality. People need to see that. And whether, somewhere in your funnel process, somewhere in your nurture process, they need to see you. They need like live video, like, definitely video of some kind, and not super scripted video either, but where you're just interacting and engaging with people, because then they can really feel you. And it's not the AI bot, ChatGPT copy on a landing page type of thing.
Yeah, and this is in our world, we're actually building out an AI right now. Or the core ethos of it is it's like use AI to get you into the red zone, right? So get it to that place where it does like 80 to 90% of the heavy lift using principles and structures that are like proven in the marketing world. But then you have to make it your own. If you don't make it your own, you're just going to get lost in the shuffle.
Yeah, because everyone else has ChatGPT too, guys.
As we were saying too, it's authenticity is now the new super currency, right? So
I love that. That's a good one. That's awesome. So what would be one piece of advice you want to leave with people who are looking to get an OTO? They're in the info space and they want to move into creating their own OTO.
But yes, if somebody who's looking to do this strategy, keep it really simple. So, and if we had visuals, I'd put it up on the board. But literally, it's 3 steps, right? So you have your paid ad to your registration page to your thank you page, which is your OTO. Like super simple. And then the other nuance of that is just make sure that to get access to the tool, they're going to your members portal. Yeah. For somebody who's going to look to do this, just again, keep it really simple. Pay attention more to your ad and what the hook is and the value of that lead magnet first. Just start there, because you don't want to go create a whole mini course and then find out that your lead magnet sucks and then you waste all this time on the mini course. So spend some time, really play around with a couple different lead magnets. When you find the one that's getting you some really lower costs, go create a simple mini course. Yeah. And when I say mini course, like that should be probably somewhere in the realm of maybe an hour long, maybe an hour and a half, and then break it into like 10 to 15 minute chunks. So keep it really, really simple so you don't overwhelm yourself. And at the end of the day, your prospects aren't going to want some exhaustive experience, nor are they expecting that for a lower ticket.
Right. No, absolutely. I love that. So if people want to learn more about you, where should they find you online?
So empirepartners.io. So empirepartners.io. And we got all kinds of fun tools and resources, and tons of fun stuff on there.
I love it. So if you like Brook, go check him out. I think this has been an awesome conversation. Thanks so much for being with us, Brook.
Yeah, no, likewise. Thank you for bringing me on.
Yeah. You've been listening to the Digital Trailblazer podcast. For show notes and information about today's guest, head to digitaltrailblazer.com. Now, if you love this episode, if you got some value, make sure you leave us a review and subscribe. And be sure to share this episode with anyone you know who could use help to build their business. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.